One of the greatest strengths an organization can have is clarity, both in its day-to-day operations and its underlying vision. Today we'll talk about how CEOs, presidents, owners, and other leaders can use planning to eliminate ambiguity and achieve stable growth over the long term. Our subject matter expert for this discussion is Dave Sullivan. Dave's management experience includes CEO positions at 3 separate corporations, where he used systematic planning to clarify his organization's goals, then charted a course to reach those objectives. In his current work as an Aileron consultant and as president of a management consulting firm, Dave works one-on-one with business leaders to help them design and implement practical action plans. We're pleased to have him join us today as we discuss ways that you can use planning to further your organization. So Dave, what is planning?
I guess the best way to describe planning is by first of all saying it's a process. And really what it is it's a process of looking at all the things you could do and narrowing it down to the few things you have any competency to really do well. And so any process you choose will work. And the key is that you try to stick with the same process until it gets to be part of the way you do things in your company. But really, it's a decision-making tool that helps you figure out how to spend time, people, and money most effectively to achieve the end result you had in mind, that you envisioned.
How does that relate to the decision-making process? Is that a big part of planning?
Yeah, I think that's probably the major reason you do it is you got a lot of things in front of you. You got a lot of things that are going on in your business on a day-by-day basis. You've got a lot of areas that need to be improved upon. So what you're trying to figure out is how to make the best decision. Obviously, you can't do it all, and so you're going to have to pick the things you can do well so that you can effectively spend time, people, and money.
And should I do planning?
Well, I'll give you a good consulting answer, and it depends. It depends on a lot of things. First and foremost is, what's happened in your prior efforts to use planning. Have you ever employed it? Have you ever used it to run your business more efficiently? And so if you have, and it's made a difference, then I say, sure, do planning. If you're doing planning because someone told you ought to do it, but you don't really have any intention to change anything, then I really wouldn't waste my time or the time of the people that work for me. It's a long process. It takes a lot of brain cells to work on it. It requires people to get out of their everyday comfort mode and start looking at the business differently. And if you're ready to do that, then planning is a good tool.
Okay. And what do you plan around?
And I think from my experience, what I've noticed is people try to plan for every little eventuality, and none of us are that good. Too many different things are happening on a daily basis for us to plan everything. So what I try to do is to get people to recognize that there are only a few things that will either make your organization really succeed or a few major things that will make your organization fail. And those we call priority issues. Those are make or break issues, the things that the entire organization ought to focus on an ongoing basis. And there's really kind of 2 sets of those. The first set is the strategic priority issues. Those are the ones that are ongoing. Those are the ones that you should continually focus on. Things such as having qualified people in key positions, having the right technology, having the available capital to do the things you'd like to get done, making sure that you have the right focus in the business. So those are what I would call priority issues on a strategic basis. Operational priority issues are the ones that you have to address, and really you're trying to solve those within the next 12 months. So they tend to be during an operating year, and for that period of time you're saying these priority issues must be resolved.
What are the 4 types of planning, and can you give a brief description of each?
To me, the first type of plan is a strategic plan. And the simple purpose of a strategic plan is to set the long-term direction of your enterprise. I want to expand beyond my current area of expertise. I want to expand geographically. I'd like to add 2 or 3 more product groups to the offerings I already have out there. It's kind of the long-term directional statements that sort of set the stage for the future. From the strategic plan, typically what rolls out of that is your operational plan, meaning the implementation of year 1 of your strategy. Operational planning, it's the day-to-day planning. It says that let's go back to my example, if I want to expand my business geographically. And so I'm a Dayton-based company right now, and I want to expand my offices into Cincinnati. Operational planning really looks down to saying, over the next 12 months, what is it I'm going to accomplish specifically? And it gets into more of the action plans. Who's going to do what, by what date, with what specific result. And it is the accountability model you put in place to ensure that year one actually happens. So operational planning is very important, but it shouldn't be done in a vacuum, and it shouldn't be done just historically. It ought to be tied to the strategic plan. You ought to be making progress, you ought to be moving forward, and the operational plan is the tool that lets you do that. The third kind of plan is a business plan, and this one is often misunderstood. Many people think you only do this one time when you're going into business and you're trying to get funding. That's one definition of a business plan, but it's not the one that's most commonly used. A business plan is a decision management tool, and it happens when your business is at a crossroads, and what you need to do is make a decision. For example, should I open a branch office in Cincinnati or Columbus, Ohio? The business plan model is the one that looks at that, and it's quite different from a strategic plan because it looks at concept, marketing strategy, management structure, how you're going to set up your operations, and it gets more into the depths of what it would take to be effective. And then the fourth one, the budget, that most people think is a plan, is the one I would never call a plan. The budget to me is nothing more than math. It's costing out the decisions you've made and then putting them in a financial model and then looking to make a decision of whether you can or cannot pursue that direction. But so the first three, strategic, operational, and business, are definitely planning models. The budget supports all of them.